Paul had a heart attack, so you don't have to. 3 things you need to start doing right now so that you don't die of a heart attack.
I'm a dad, baby.
Yeah, we're a dad. You're a dad. We're going to continue being dads for at least another 40 years
That's the
if
hope,
we take care of our hearts.
right?
Today's all about how to outlive Mitch McConnell. Y'all know by now, unless you've been living off of social media, Paul had a heart attack, and he did it for one reason and one reason only. And that's so that you don't have to have a heart attack.
My birthday was on Easter this year, so.
And he rose again 3 days later.
But before we do that, if you like this video and you like our content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell notification so you don't miss a single video. And go to a damn doctor.
Welcome to Heart Health Monday. Wow, that break was a little longer than intended.
Maybe a little more eventful too.
Yeah. I mean, we had a little spring break, and then I had a New York trip, and we were going to record that following week, but you had an unscheduled event. So
Certainly wasn't in my plans.
Right, you had not planned for it. Like if you had planned for it, then it's one of those. It's like Schrodinger's health incident. Like if you plan for it, it doesn't happen.
Right.
It's important, dads, to take care of yourself.
Yes.
And there are various stages at which you could take care of yourself. And we're going to try to get into all of them here. Let's go, man. What the heck happened?
I turned 55 on the 9th. And then on the 11th, my body said, enough. I was over at my parents' house doing some yard work and proceeded to have a fucking massive heart attack. But I didn't know at the time it was a massive heart attack until the next day, because my stubborn self said, no, this happens all the time. I'll just walk it off.
So a massive heart attack. I think that's the first time I've heard you say it was a massive heart attack in those words.
Scared the hell out of my doctor.
Massive heart attack.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was just a little heart attack. No, this one was massive. Okay, go on.
I was carrying dead bamboo across the yard when it happened. I wasn't even like digging holes or laying concrete or building a house.
Bamboo is not a pet. Bamboo is actual bamboo. Right?
Actual bamboo. Yeah, my parents have a veritable bamboo forest in their backyard. So I told myself, all right, so if I still feel bad, because I went home, I went home and I took a shower, and the hot water, my muscles felt okay, and I'm like, all right, I must have just been a bad day.
So I know you got to flow to this thing, and I don't want to keep interrupting, but
It's
I do want to make it clear exactly what were you feeling. And by the way, if y'all want to follow along, there is a script. Go to WebMD and Google symptoms of heart attack, and you can follow along. So go ahead. What were you feeling? You carrying the dead bamboo? Did you pass out? Did you fall down? Did you what? Somebody tried to squeeze you through an iron pipe? What was going on?
Basically, every single muscle in my body felt like it was pulled all at once. I got dizzy. It was hard to breathe. I got nauseous. I felt like, how like when you bump your knee and it goes all rubbery and you can't walk? That was my whole body.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and sweats, dude. It was just pouring out of me. But so I get into the house, and my parents want to take me to the ER, and I'm like, no, this is fine. I've had this happen before. It's fine. It's no big deal. And I basically just, if you go to that WebMD, every single thing on there I had. Every single thing. I was a textbook case for a heart attack.
Man.
And which is something I was never expecting to have to deal with.
Yeah.
So like I said, I shrugged it off, went home, took a shower, felt okay, and told myself, all right, if I feel bad in the morning, I'll go to the doctor. So I woke up. I felt fine for about 5 seconds. And all of the pain in my body had basically migrated to my chest and my arm. And I'm just like, all right, maybe I'm having a heart attack. Because I've heard they can go on for a while. Not they don't just happen like that. Sometimes they'll just go on for a very long time. Well, made it to the ER. I walk in the ER. My girlfriend Amy, she takes me, and I walk in, and the lady at the front desk, she's like, what are you here for?" I said, "I'm having chest pains," and she just screams out, "He's having chest pains!" And suddenly, like 4 people just came out of nowhere, grabbed me, and whisked me into the ER. Put those little electrode thingies all over my body.
They
I've
wired
got
me up like a spaceman.
Yeah,
Turn on that audiogram.
you know, I look like the 40-year-old virgin, post wax now because of all the leads I had on me.
It's almost like a Mel Brooks, one of those Mel Brooks musicals. Heart pains, heart pains, heart pains, having heart pains. And they bring out the thing and get you all hooked up. Anyway, go on.
Literally.
That's true
Well,
too. I told my wife was having a weird thing on her chest, a little fluttery thing one time,
mhm,
and this has been like 10 years ago. We walked in, weren't sure what it was, but we mentioned the word chest, and it's like they had her strapped up and everything. I'm
yeah,
like, if you plan on going to the hospital with chest pains, make sure you go to the bathroom before,
yeah,
because you
yes,
won't get the
yes.
chance for a
You
few
will not.
hours anyway.
Because I spent.
In all seriousness, my advice is don't stop to go to the bathroom. Get straight to the hospital and tell them what's going on. Pee
I
pee in
mean,
your pants if you have to.
because
But
regardless of what your body does, they've seen worse.
oh
So
yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but so all right. So they hook me up. They give me. They do an EKG. They do an ultrasound, and they do blood work. And it's so funny because I'm just in denial about the whole thing. So
Hmm.
I told the guy who was taking my blood, I said, when you're doing all the tests, let me know if my magnesium level's low, will you? Just like real casual, because I'm like, because it runs in my family, and I wanted to get it checked out. He's like, okay. So he comes back in. He's like, well, the good news is your magnesium level's fine. The bad news is, you had a heart attack at some point, and
Your troponin levels are through the roof.
yes,
What?
exactly.
Your
He
magnesium's fine. Your troponin's not.
Yes, my troponin was, as he put it. He goes, a normal person has about 0.02 something in their bloodstream. He's like, yours is 1 point. I just stopped him. I said, all right, I know anything on that side of the decimal point is bad. I'll take your word for it that I had a heart attack. So they're like, what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a, what do they call it? The angioplasty. Where they go in angiogram, because they wanted to check out the vein, the arteries, see how they are, and if there was any blockage, they were gonna go ahead and treat it and put in stents where they need to. And they're like, the whole thing should probably take about 20 minutes. It was the craziest 20 minutes of my life, dude. I got
And you've had some crazy 20-minute periods
I've
in
I've
your
had
life.
some pretty crazy 20 minutes.
Yeah.
This one is going to be hard to beat, and I don't plan on it. Not for a while anyway. Well, so they go, I'm strapped like Jesus. I'm on this T-board, and they're putting tubes and wires and stuff in my arms, and the one lady, the one nurse or whatever she was telling me what all they were putting in me. And they're like, and we're going to give you some morphine. And the morphine's basically going to make you not give a shit about anything right now. I'm like, all right,
You're like, is that a medical term? Not
I'll,
give a
I'll,
shit?
I'll, I'll take a double. Um,
I'll have what he's having.
well, after, it's so funny because while I'm in the recovery and the nurses are all talking in the other room, they're all like, he's just so cool about everything. And I'm like, well,
Morphine.
because I'm on morphine right now. There's not much that's gonna upset me.
Poppies aren't just for muffins anymore.
That's right. Well, so eventually the doctor that did the procedure, he comes in, and he's just kind of like glazed over in the eyes, and he's like, you shouldn't be here. I'm like, okay,
This is
thanks,
where they
Doc,
put
I'm
me.
out.
I don't know. It wasn't my choice. I just walked in here and this is where they
That's
put
right.
me.
Well, he goes, most people who have what you had, and what I had was my right coronary artery was 100% blocked. And I've
Mm,
got I've got the ultrasounds to or the x-rays to prove it, and it's pretty freaking scary looking.
wow.
My ultrasounds look like at the end of like Stranger Things when like the big monsters coming out of the sky,
Yeah.
it's all black and tendrily. That's
Yeah.
my ultrasound or my x-rays.
I'm no medical expert, but 100% seems like that's almost all the way, right?
That yes, that seems to be that. So this is bad. Well,
Which means your heart wasn't getting enough, but it was getting blood somehow, or your heart would have
it
stopped
wasn't
moving.
moving it forward is what it was doing.
Jeez,
It was having to dissipate it elsewhere because
man.
this is the one that I guess pumps it out. I could be
Oh,
wrong.
okay.
If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments.
So yeah,
I had a
for
lot
sure.
going on that day.
We have medical professionals that listen to this, so let us know. But it sounds to me like the exit ramp was blocked, which will eventually block the highway itself,
Yes.
including the entrance ramps.
Yeah.
Um,
There was a mattress on the 405.
there's a mattress on the 405. Okay. I think
Anyway,
we're done with that. I think that's a good place to end.
right.
All
Well,
right.
so he tells me, he goes, the doctor, he's like, people who have what you have typically don't walk in under their own power, and they also don't leave here.
Mm,
He goes, you basically had what we call the widowmaker.
wow.
And I told him, I said, I'm just too stubborn to die. And he didn't think it was as funny as I did. He just kind of looked at me like, I can't believe I'm talking to this guy.
Well, I mean, he wasn't on morphine either, so.
Yeah. No, he was not.
How's everybody
I
doing
hope not.
tonight? You know, there's a 2 units of morphine minimum. Make sure you tip your waitresses, bartenders, and anesthesiologists.
I mean, maybe, a couple hundred years ago, it may have been standard procedure for the doctor to also be on morphine. But
Sure,
in
or at
this
least
case,
laughing
no,
gas,
he was he
or 2
so
whiskeys.
he got me all taken care of, and they got me, I spent 2 nights I spent the night in the hospital hooked up to. I'm like, I've never, it looks like a cliche. I mean, I'm walking around with my little thing with my IV bag,
Do you have your grippy
eh,
socks?
my grippy socks,
Yeah.
um, just having to go to the bathroom every 20 minutes because they're pumping me full of saline because I can't. My blood pressure is like so low at this point. They're like, "Do you normally have low blood pressure?" I'm like, "Now I do apparently." But before, no, my blood pressure was always a little bit high. But low blood pressure runs in my family. My dad has it. My daughter, my oldest daughter has it, and but then so does their mom. So I'm like, maybe whatever. But so they kept me overnight because they wanted my blood pressure up. And by morning, it was like, dude, my blood pressure has not been this perfect ever.
Mm.
The oxygen level, blood pressure, everything is like textbook perfect.
Well, if you
So
think about blood pressure is equivalent to traffic, right? So if there's a mattress on the 405,
yes,
traffic's going to be shitty.
yeah,
So blood pressure is going to be high, right?
yeah. I think in this case, the entire Mattress King truck, got stuck
Yeah.
under the under the underpass. Just
And we'll get into it a little later, but even if there's not a mattress on the 405 or the Mattress King truck didn't dump its load, and there's just some asshole, with his left turn signal on driving slow in the left lane, that's still something, right? That's still traffic, and that's still probably something that needs to be addressed.
yes.
It's an early warning sign, let's say.
Well,
But anyway, we'll get into early warning signs later.
yeah. And speaking of early warning signs, I'm fairly convinced now, knowing what I know, I've probably had some sort of event a couple of years ago, and that might have
Hmm.
been where it started.
Oh wow.
But
Yeah.
that one, and that was the confusing part for me because when that happened, it's been probably 5 years. when that happened, I was able to kind of just walk it off of, like after about 20 minutes, I felt okay.
Yeah.
Well, this one didn't go away.
Yeah.
And so I'm fairly convinced that's probably when the blockage started. I can't imagine 100% blockage happening like that. I imagine it builds up.
Maybe I love this traffic analogy. Maybe there was a there was a parked car and then somebody pushed it out of the way.
Yeah. Yes.
But
so some good Samaritan.
So I we talked about this the other day, and
Mhm.
I'm like, I may not now I would act differently, but before this happened with you, I may not have acted any differently the
Mhm.
day of. And I mean, if I told somebody that's what was going on, they probably would have said, well, it's not your choice. I'm calling 911.
Mhm.
But I probably would have been like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just, I've been working in the yard. I probably pulled every muscle. So I think, we used to be with drunk driving that way. It used to
Mhm.
be like, hey, you sure you're okay to drive? Yeah, I'm fine. Well, no, I don't
I
know.
ate a
Maybe.
big
No,
meal
I'm fine. Yeah, come on.
before I
No,
started
it's like,
drinking.
why don't you give me your keys? No, man, it's fine. Yeah, I ate a big meal. I drive better when I'm drunk, that kind of thing. We'd be like, okay. And then we'd all check the next day and wonder if they made it home okay. But
Mhm.
we don't do that anymore. Nowadays,
Mm.
it's like, well, it's not your decision because you're drunk and
Yeah.
you don't get to make that important of a decision
Yeah.
after. And even better, we plan ahead and we take taxis and get
Mhm.
designated drivers and shit like that, right? It's just become a thing. Well, with heart attacks, it just hasn't risen to that level yet, especially like Midwestern, and not to make it a sexist thing. I'm sure there are plenty of women this way too, but I just being a man, I can relate the best, is like, I'm supposed to be strong. It's not supposed to be.
Yes.
And the way we were socialized and raised is like, don't make a big deal, especially if somebody's going to have to be put out and go out of their way to help you.
Mhm.
It's like, just, you'll get there. You'll figure it out. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, that is a
Maybe,
major Midwestern flaw.
yeah. So maybe what we need is like just a campaign of, hey, well, I think there's a systemic thing here because this whole thing of if you show up to the hospital and mention your chest, like I get why they do it. All
Mhm.
right. Because they're like, we need to act immediately because seconds may count. I get it. Right. And maybe there's nothing the hospital needs to do. Maybe that's exactly what they need to be doing.
Mhm.
Maybe it's just popular culture. This whole, I don't know about you, but I've seen so many sitcoms and I've heard family urban legends about, yeah, we made a big deal out of it. I went to the doctor and it turned out I just had gas. All I needed to do was fart.
Yep.
Aha, you're stupid for thinking you were having a heart attack, that kind of thing. Or it was heartburn. I just
Mhm.
needed some Tums. Oh, you're an idiot for thinking you were having a heart attack. That shit works on your brain,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
I don't know if that's what was going on with you in your brain, but it's probably what would be going on in my brain. And we probably need a thing that says, who cares?
Yeah.
We're not going to make fun of people for going and getting it checked out. And in
No.
fact, we're doing the equivalent of taking your keys. I'm not asking if you want to go to the doctor. I'm calling an ambulance.
Mhm.
Or you're getting in the car right now, or whatever the case may be. I know
Mhm.
out in the country, we didn't call ambulances out in the country. By the time the ambulance got there, you'd be dead, gone, buried. Funeral would have happened, and your suit would have been at the cleaners.
Yeah.
But so you get in the car and we drive you there. But whatever the case may be, maybe it's like the people around us need to just have it ingrained. Like, I'm not asking.
Mhm.
you know.
Well, in the case of my parents, because I've been talking to my mom about it, and she's kicking herself because she's like, I knew what was going on. We should have took you to the ER, and I'm like, I wouldn't have let you. There's no way you would have got me in that car
Mm,
because, well, one, what you said about the fact that we don't think it is what it is because we've got all these like cliches in our head,
yeah, right.
you know, and plus, I'm pretty sure there was I wasn't in my right mind, or I would
Sure.
have. Like now, forget about it. I like stand up too fast. I'm like, oh, this is it. I'm out.
Like
Call the
Fred
ambulance.
Sanford.
Yeah,
It's the big one.
that's right. but I just wasn't in my right mind. So yeah,
Sure.
you need people basically do, not to put it on them,
No,
but
no.
people need to just fucking, not, we're demonetized now. People just need to take control and do it, and then worry about it later. And the thing is, I was thinking all those things, like, I got to figure out what to do about the kids. There's school. There's all this.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm. Yep.
but as soon as that doctor told me that I had a heart attack, I'm like, I'm just gonna let shit figure itself out.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and it did. People came, did what they do. You know, they did that great thing that humans do. Everybody helped with this, that, and the other thing.
Yep.
And now, and here I sit making a video.
I think that's another great point. It that's the other thing we have. I don't know what syndrome to call it, but we have this. If I don't take care of it, it's not going to get taken
Mhm,
care of, right?
mhm.
And it's based on evidence. We've seen
Yes.
stuff slip through the cracks if we weren't on it that day or whatever.
Mhm,
But we have to realize that if it will get taken care of, people will do
mhm.
what people do, right? People will jump in and handle
Yeah.
stuff. So don't let that stop you either.
Right.
Because
No.
because I mean, damn, you know, who's gonna get them home from school? Who's gonna coach them through and guide them through
Mhm.
life if you
Yeah.
die, right?
Well, and the other thing too is we talk on this show. One of the primary things that we like to discuss on here is self-care,
Yeah.
and mostly thinking about it from a mental standpoint.
Hmm.
But the bottom line is with me, um, I take, this was some fun conversation with the doctors. I take pretty good care of myself. I watch what I eat. I I have a moderate exercise routine that I do daily. There was no this was just a crapshoot of genetics or something. There was no reason for it. So, as you and I both famously don't like doctors.
Right.
I don't care anymore. My doctor, when my like I'm going tomorrow to my regular doctor, when she tells me that I need to make an appointment for such and such a date, all right, sure, I'm in. Just sign me up. I don't
Yeah.
care anymore. You know, if you have a doctor, go to the doctor. If you don't have a doctor, you can get one. And just because you could be in what you perceive as great physical health, great mental health, and you might not be.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. And we've probably done more to discourage people from going to the doctor than anybody. Uh, so a couple of thoughts on that. One is eat healthy, exercise. What does eat
Uh,
healthy mean? Because there's always a new diet out all the time. Well, the most consistent thing I've heard is emphasize plants
Emphasize
and
plants, cut down on salt, don't eat so much, sh- ki- cut out as much, corn syrup as you possibly can.
yeah,
Eat leaner meat. If you like fish like I do, you're good. You know.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
I think we all
definitely
know
plant oils, emphasize plant, absolutely.
the excuse that it's complicated and who could figure it out, all that stuff. It's like the only good excuse I've heard is it's more expensive. It's like expensive in terms of money and or time. Like
It's,
it, you have to invest time to eat healthy
well, yeah,
because it's a lot easier just to go to the McDonald's drive-through, right?
several years ago when I started eating better, like, they'll tell you it's more expensive, but what what makes it more expensive is if you like go gung ho about it. What I did was, when something in my pantry or refrigerator was used up, I replaced it with something better, so
Yeah.
that you don't just chuck everything out of your cabinets and refrigerator and restock.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's expensive, but if you put stuff in as you take stuff out, one, you'll learn to shop better,
Yeah.
and you'll figure it out that it really isn't that much more expensive.
In terms of money, yeah. And the other thing
Time
is
definitely,
time,
but
because
not
you
really
gotta
though.
really?
No, because well, if you're like me, I pretty much bake everything.
Good.
And it's literally just you throw a bunch of stuff in a pan, you put it in the oven, and like however long later it comes out and you eat it. You just
Mhm.
got to plan your day a little bit more.
Yeah.
By the time you go through the drive-through or whatever, and you do Uber Eats or whatever it is y'all do, and you look at how much that cost, and then you take that same amount of money and you go to the grocery store with it
Mhm.
and see
Mhm.
what you come home with.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe a little bit of time
So
and
here's the
preparation.
thing. Here's what you can do though.
Mhm.
Uh, however you're eating now, and by the way, you know whether it's healthy.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody's sitting there like, I wonder if this burger and fries is less healthy than, say a lean piece of chicken, fish, even lean beef, and some green beans and potatoes. Now you know that. So just take whatever unhealthy thing you're doing, and maybe once a week, do something else. Do
Right.
something that you know is healthier and
Yeah.
see how it goes. And just slowly, because I guarantee you, 6 Happy Meals is better than 7 Happy Meals in a week.
Mhm.
So the other thing is, and then, exercise, and then even that may not be enough. I think is your point is like you do eat really well, you do exercise a lot, but there's another huge component to heart disease is genetics.
Yeah. I think
So
that's where they got me.
you can't do anything about your genetics other than go to the doctor.
Mhm.
They have found. I read this the other day. I don't have a link to back it up. I just read it. I assume it's true. There's a 10 or 15% link between for breast cancer. So like if your relative has had breast cancer, there's a 10 or 15% chance you are going to get it. And people go through all sorts of testing and uh, radical surgeries sometimes and stuff to avoid getting breast cancer. When they don't have it, it's just a 10 or 15% chance they will. I don't know what the percent chance with heart disease is, but I'm guessing it's at least that, if not more percent.
Yeah.
Um,
If you're
and you
trying to
don't have,
justify percentages and to like not take care of yourself, say you don't want to pay attention to percentages. Oh, that's just a number. Anybody can make up numbers and that kind of thing. If you don't put a lot of emphasis on percentages when it comes to stuff like your ticker, which I
Mhm.
didn't at the time, now I do. The Put it in perspective, the survival rate of what happened to me is less than 12%.
So yeah, like if there was a room full of 100 people
Yep.
and
Yeah.
it happened to all 100 of them, 12 of them would be alive today.
Yep.
Yeah, so here's the only thing you can do. You can't do anything about changing your genetics, but you don't have to go have radical surgeries and all that stuff. You just have to go get your annual checkup and then
Mhm.
do what the doctor tells you to do. Don't do what I did. Okay, here's where we start correcting some of our past sins.
Hey man, life is for learning.
My last doctor visit was about 14 months ago. I
Mhm.
had decided to start doing my annual visits, right?
Mhm.
And this was my second one after I decided to start doing it. And it was about 14 months ago. The reason I haven't been back is because they measured my blood pressure and it was a little bit high. They said we're not diagnosing hypertension because it takes 2 measurements of high blood pressure. If you come back and it's high again, then you'll be diagnosed with hypertension. And my dumb ass is like, as long as I don't go back to the doctor, I don't have high blood pressure. Right? Because if I don't
That's
go to the
right.
doctor and they don't diagnose it, I obviously don't have it. And I'm
Just
like, I
throw that
gotta,
towel over your head.
I gotta get this thing scheduled because I
Yeah.
don't think I have the genetic piece, but I don't take as good a care of myself as you do, like in terms of eating and exercise. I'm in the obese category, but you're not. So what
I
I
used to
lack
be
in the
though.
genetic piece, I make up for in the lifestyle piece. Like now,
Mhm.
I do okay. I do all right, but I do. I think I do have high blood pressure, and so I got to do something about that.
Mhm.
That's the only thing. I mean, and then beyond that, so there you go. So you could in the moment, and then leading up to it, be healthy. Now, if your grandparents, parents have had heart trouble, and you're in your 20s or 30s, apologies, but you don't get to do the thing that most people in their 20s or 30s do, which is, I don't need to go to the doctor because I'm healthy and there's nothing wrong with me, right? Well, unfortunately, you've been dealt a genetic hand that says you're going to have to do your annual checkups. And in most of the world, including the United States, surprisingly, that annual checkup is free to you.
Yeah.
No out of pocket because, because of insurance. If you don't have
Mhm.
insurance, you can get insurance relatively inexpensively in your 20s and 30s. So go do the doctor, try to eat healthy, exercise there.
Mhm.
Because your kids need you, everybody needs, and you know what? You don't have to go to one of these hustle bros and like drink 3 smoothies in the morning and pray to Buddha and and then walk 10 miles and do 75 put. You don't have to be one of those guys. You
Mhm.
just have to just moderate, right? What about stress? To what degree do you think stress contributes or contributed?
I'm fairly certain that stress did contribute to it. I don't have any scientific evidence to back it up, other than the fact that ra- raising 3 kids and dealing with everything that's involved with that,
Hmm.
the stress level is a bit high. So I'm just gonna say by association, it most likely did contribute to it.
Hmm.
But and I try to, I have a lot of stress. I just carry it, like a good Midwesterner, carry it in silence.
What did we say in our last episode before break? Be strong enough to be weak.
Hmm. Yeah. Joke. We always joke about normalizing going to a therapist.
Yeah.
Well, let's normalize going to a damn doctor.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, nobody, guess what? You don't like going to a doctor. I don't like going to a doctor. Nobody does. You know who does? Hypochondriacs. That's who likes going to a doctor. Just go to the damn doctor. You're in and out. Take an hour out of your time. Go to a damn doctor.
And that reminded me of the other thing I was going to mention about going to the doctor and the reasons we've given for not like going to the doctors. One of the big ones is like they never really know any more than I could look up,
Mhm.
on the internet, right?
Mhm.
And usually I'm just like I know what I need, but you're the gatekeeper and I have to get through you to get what I need. Sort of like the John
Yes.
Mulaney bit when he was trying to get weed.
Yeah.
But this is a huge exception to that, right? This heart disease, cancer, and probably a list of whatever else. Here's the one area we complain about the American healthcare system a lot, right?
Mhm.
But this is an area where it is actually really, really good. And that
I
is
was amazed personally.
it's detecting, treating, detecting, doing preventive treatments, and then addressing when there's heart disease, cancer, and other, I'm sure we could list other, diabetes is one of them.
Mhm.
They're really good at detecting these things. They're really good at doing the preventive treatments. And then once you have the heart attack or you have the cancer, they're really good at addressing it at that point. That's what Western medicine's gotten good at over the
Yeah.
past century.
Yeah.
Because those are, I think what they did is they probably took a really structured approach. And they said, what kills the most people? Okay, let's focus on that first.
Mhm.
Okay, what kills the next most people? All right, let's focus on that. Now, I know the cynics and the leftists, me included, sometimes will go, no, they looked at what'll make us the most money. It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, 6 of one, half a dozen the other, right? It's like the thing that makes them the most money is the thing that kills the most people, right?
Can't we have both?
Yeah. And it's the system we have. That's the other
Yeah.
thing that a good leftist will say is like, just because the system sucks, I mean, it's the only one we've got. So you got to
Mhm.
use it and work within it, right? And
Mhm.
that's why, like, when we're talking about heart disease, cancer, these things that'll kill you if not detected early, that's what doctors are good at.
Mhm.
Like me going, I think Xanax might help. Doctors aren't great at that. Me going, I feel kind of tired sometimes. Like, doctors aren't going to be good at like, because the best they're going to come up with is, oh, maybe don't eat so much salt and get better sleep. How much do you drink? That's too much. It's probably the alcohol, right? They suck at that part. What they don't suck at is we did a lab test and this thing is high. That means you need this medication. They're really, really good at that. So there, that 1 2-minute speech made up for all the sins of the past of convincing people not to go to doctors. So
Yeah. All right. So for anybody that's worried out there, I'm doing fine. I went to my cardiologist a couple days ago, and he looked over everything. And basically, what he told me was, due to my age, because I'm what they call young for a heart attack. I'm like, you're telling me. Basically, my heart is in really good shape. It's just gonna take a little while to get its strength back. So he's like, just do what you normally do with your day. You don't have to change your diet because your diet sounds good anyway, but I am changing my diet. And just pay attention to like the signs, if anything, if you feel weird. So I am doing a lot better. I'm able to do pretty much whatever I want. And it's so bizarre because, like I said before, the mortality rate attached to what happened to me versus how I feel 2 weeks later. Sometimes I'm like, did I imagine all that? And then, I go into the kitchen and there's a there's a Stonehenge of pills lined up along my ledge. Oh no, I didn't imagine that. There it is.
Well, that's great, man.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. Did you thank Jesus when you were done?
No,
in front of the doctor?
Yeah, in front of the doctor, I thank Jesus. No, in fact, they asked me if I wanted to see the chaplain. I'm like, I'm good. But
which religion? What do you got?
Is the Dalai Lama here? I want to suck on his tongue.
Got any ancient astronautists? Awesome, man. Well, glad you're alive.
Same.
You continue to live another however long you want to live.
I got to outlive Mitch McConnell, so
40, 50, 60 years. All right, cool. Well, that's all we got for today. Thanks for listening. We are Better Off Dad, just trying to do the right thing when things are hard, and things shouldn't be this hard.
including your arteries.